go to Asia in a couple of weeks.
But you saw the statement I put out that he had a bad day.
Right.
And I think we're going to be fine with China. Look, I have a great relationship with President Xi. He's a very tough man. He's a very smart man. He's a great leader for their country. He's a great leader. And I have a great relationship with him. I think we'll get it set. I know what happened. I really understand what happened. And I'm not even saying he's wrong. But then we met him with something much tougher than what he did to us. Again, because of the tariffs, it's much tougher.
And we're back. I'm Brandon Weichert, your friendly neighborhood guest host, filling in for Emerald Robinson on The Absolute Truth. And you just heard the president on his flight to the Middle East talking about the ongoing trade war with China. So in related news, and contrary to what President Trump has said to the press in recent days, America does appear to be, at the very least, on the tightrope in its fight with China for the trade war. That's mainly because China, having spent the last decade or so building up its rare earth mineral production and refining capacities, is now choking the United States off from those rare earth mineral access. And more ominously, Beijing is apparently bullying other rare earth mineral producers, such as Pakistan, which is hoping to get a better relationship with the Trump administration. Beijing is bullying them into not selling their vaunted rare earth minerals to the United States as the trade war between the first and second largest global economies continues. We are now joined by my friend and a man with many years' experience doing business in China, Dan Collins, the current host of Chaos Incorporated, a great podcast you can find on YouTube. Dan, how are you doing?
Good, Brandon. How's it going?
Very good, and thanks again for joining us here. Trump appears to have some momentum coming out of the Mideast peace process. Will this at all play into his negotiations with Xi Jinping over the ongoing trade war?
Well, I think there's a lot of discussions to be had at this upcoming meeting they're going to have in South Korea. There, no doubt, will meet behind the scenes. We saw the stock market fall out last week over this rare earth export ban. It's not really a ban, but it is going to be controlled. U.S. defense makers are going to have trouble getting their hands on it. This is China's card. They just laid it down. I'm going to give you an exclusive here. This is in the Chinese press, but you won't find it in the U.S. The reason why they're doing this now and not before, we put a 30% duty on them in 2018. We sanctioned 200 some companies, a few years later. We blocked them from NVIDIA chips. Why haven't they done this rare earth card before? Because they were dependent on the U.S. for helium. Now, helium's used in semiconductors, chips, MRIs, healthcare. They were 80% dependent on helium from the United States. So that was 2022. But since then, they have built up their own capacity. They kind of did a mini Manhattan project, massive new capacity on board. And now they feel confident that we don't have any more weapons in the trade war. They will use the rare earth ban, which they absolutely control, and they will control for the foreseeable future. They will use that in this chip war. This all goes back to the chip war. Yep. If we use it, if we continue to block their access at least to 7 Newton meter chips and chip equipment, they will say, okay, I can't have NVIDIA chips, but neither can you. And that's really what we're basically in a Mexican standoff here.
Well, and Dan, you're already seeing this. I mean, this is why I said he, at the very least, appears to be on the tightrope with Xi in the trade war, because already, as soon as the Chinese started threatening, we're going to cut off the rare earth minerals, the Trump administration started allowing NVIDIA to sell not the highest end chips, but they're starting to allow them to sell very complex computer chips again to China, which hasn't been allowed since 2018. And I have long argued that was exactly because of the rare earth mineral issue, which China is definitely playing. Is this, though, the only card that China has to play against the United States in the trade war? Because I feel like at some point, I was talking to Christian Briggs yesterday, and he told me that, if we could get our own rare earth mineral production going, it would take about 3 to 5 years for us to not be as reliant on China. So is this the only card that China has to play? Or are there other things they could be doing to hurt us in the process as we try to divorce from China's rare earth minerals?
They have many cards. It's the world's
Yeah.
largest manufacturing economy. But number
Yeah.
two, the rare earth. I don't think people. I used to work with rare earth. I have more than a decade in metallurgy experience. So I don't think people realize how hard this is to do. It's a geology problem and it's a technical problem.
Mhm.
Geology problem is you have to have it concentrated in enough concentration. So a mine like the Baotou mine in China, they have to
Yep.
crush 17,000 tons of rock to get 1 kilogram of material. Okay, so you can find it in Ukraine, but you're going to have to crush 500,000 tons of rock. It's not feasible. So Australia has some Linus company that U.S. is working with. It's found places, but then you go into the technical aspect. There's literally one company in the world that can purify rare earth to the level that's used in GPUs and semiconductors, which is literally 99.9999%, right? It's literally like 1 part per billion. You cannot have impurities, and that's because it disrupts the electrical, conduits within the chips. So these are used all over. The NVIDIA GPUs use 8 different rare earths. So this is
Mhm.
China's biggest card that they have, and they can stranglehold us. We don't have the geology. We only have light rare earth. We don't have heavy rare earth. You can separate these two things. Heavy rare earth is what China has blocked. They didn't bother with light rare earth because they know we have it. So this is their biggest card. But I don't know if you saw, Brandon, but the Dutch just confiscated a Chinese
Yes, I
chip
saw that. Yes.
maker yesterday. That's setting off huge alarms. This is a whole new escalation where we're just going to take over your business. And China's going to fire back. So, Shell, Dutch company, speaking of, Shell has 1,000 gas stations in China. They have LNG terminals. Unilever has $5 billion in sales, Dove soap, things like that. So the Chinese consumer market, they also have as a tool, in addition to these rare earths. But as you know, the Belt and Road, as we talk a lot many times, they're
Yes.
getting their orbit around the global economy. So it's really going to be a U.S. polar orbit, or you're going to orbit around China. China has a huge base of the global South that's with them. So yeah, I mean, there's many cards to be played out here. So hopefully we see some de-escalation. We don't crash the entire global economy.
Well, it's certainly looking like this is not going well for us. I'm looking at the economic situation in the United States, and I certainly don't feel like we're living in a golden age yet economically. Drake, if you pull up clip number 11, the chart on what we use our rare earth minerals for in terms of defense. So I was talking to a colleague, Dan, over the weekend, and they indicated to me that the War Department, which is what they're calling themselves now, not the Defense Department, the War Department, they're stockpiling any available rare earths they can get their hands on. In my estimation, and this is just me opining here, but in my estimation, once you start stockpiling things, that means rationing will soon begin, which means in a way we've already lost. So what happens if China successfully cuts off rare earth mineral supplies to the U.S. for a protracted period of time? Is this really the apocalypse for our war machine in many respects, or is this all just sort of tut-tutting by the Chinese in lieu of getting a good deal from us?
Yeah, I don't think the defense industry will get rare earths from now on. It's not a ban.
Wow.
Commercial industry, yeah,
Wow.
commercial industries will get it. But you had a major car maker here go down. They shut down this a few months ago for 2 months. They didn't have the rare earth magnets from China. They got
That's right.
restarted, but they literally had to get Trump on the phone to call China. So the defense industry won't get it. They're going to put export control. So China is a very controlled economy. You have to have licenses for importing, for exporting. They're going to make sure, okay, Ford, you're going to buy, or GM or whoever, you're going to buy 50,000 rare earth magnets that has X amount of grams of rare earth. That's all you're getting. So they're going to make sure this doesn't go into the U.S. defense supply chain. I think that's kind of a given. I don't think they're going to get any. I suggested years ago that they'd be stockpiling this stuff hand over fist when it was cheap. But to give you an example of how hard rare earth, okay, Korean government spent $3 billion on a project in Kazakhstan. They have the rare earth material, but it's a white elephant. It died. It's shut down. They couldn't do the purification tech. These are the Koreans. The Japanese have been doing a mini Manhattan project, since 2010 when China
Yes.
originally cut them off, they import twice as many rare earth as we do. That has to do with automotive, precision manufacturing, electronics industries. They have been doing this since 2010. They're still today 90% dependent on heavy rare earth from China.
Yeah.
So this is not something that we can easily get out of. I don't think people understand the technology and the geology and the chemistries behind it.
Well, and I remember in 2010 vividly, when the Australians and the Japanese got together to try to overcome the Chinese rare earth mineral dominance. They never really were able to. And I guess you're saying it's because this distinction between light rare earth minerals and heavy rare earth minerals. Is that what you're saying?
It's a geology problem and it's a technical problem. The geology is we don't have it in the U.S. It's in Kazakhstan. Australia has it. The best mines are in China. We could solve the geology problem with the Australian minerals, but then it goes down to the technical, right?
Yes.
China's been working on this for 30 years. The purification to the centigrade level purities that are required. That chart you had up, there's 800 pounds of rare earth in an F-35. I don't know where they're going to get that, going forward. So it's a technical issue. We could solve it, but literally without experience in this, and without the geological issues we have with not having it, it's going to be basically we have to do a mini Manhattan Project to fix this.
And we're not so far. It doesn't look like it. Drake, pull up clip number 10, the rare earth processing map. We've got this this graphic we pulled out. I think it's from the Financial Times. It's the Financial Times. And so you can even just see the deposits of rare earth are not necessarily conducive to the United States. Something that was told to me by someone who does a lot of rare earth mineral work, again, over this weekend in preparation for this segment. They had said to me that the real issue isn't even the deposits themselves. It's, as you note, the technical issue. China has the world's best processing facilities. So even if we could get all the rare earth minerals we wanted to out of the ground, we don't have the processing power outside of China. How long would it take for the United States to stand up its own indigenous processing capacity, do you think?
Well, Japan and Korea have been working on it for 15 years and have failed. Yeah. And they're not dummies, technically.
That's right.
So, a decade probably.
Is that a byproduct? Is that a byproduct of just we don't know how to do this stuff, or is it a byproduct of our legislation, our environmental regulations? I know that I think one of our only major processing facilities is in California, and I can imagine it's probably the most regulated, stifled processing center in the world because of all the state. So is it really regulations, or is it the technical stuff?
It's both. The Mountain Pass mine in California that you mentioned, that's near Baker, California. They only have light rare earth, though. That's the problem. They don't have the heavy rare earth. So they can do some neodymium magnets and some like water purification stuff with cerium. But to your point on the pollution side, this is all taken out of what they call monazite rock, and it contains uranium and thorium. So you're literally dealing with radioactive materials as well. So not only do you have to have that, but you have to acid leach multiple times the rock. So you have to, when you take out, for the best deposits I mentioned, 17,000 rocks, you have to crush that into millimeter size and then acid leach it. I mean, the steps are absolutely mind-boggling complex.
And costly.
But then purify that. And costly, yeah. Exactly. And that's why you need the high concentrations. I think your chart was very accurate. I mentioned Australia, Vietnam, Greenland has a lot, which hasn't really been processed. So that may be Operation Project.
That's why we want Greenland.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's extremely complex. We've lost the technology. A little history, to give an example, is quite sad. It's kind of a cell phone. But General Motors actually pioneered rare earth in the Kokomo, Indiana plant. It's called Delco Remy. I used to work, my first job out of college was an engineer with General Motors.
I'm from South Bend originally, so I know Kokomo well.
You know Kokomo, yeah. So they had they had a company there called MagnaQuench, was owned by General Motors. They invented rare earth processing and rare earth magnets. And then around 95, the Chinese government came in and bought it and moved all the production to Tianjin. So we literally self-owned ourselves in what I call the great deindustrialization of the late 90s to 2015, basically.
And
So
Kokomo
yeah,
has never been the same. Kokomo has never been the same. I mean, it's been gutted, and this is part of the economic warfare. So, you look at what's going on, and then I heard the Chinese foreign minister, the Wolf Warrior, responding to this. I think in the last 24 hours, where basically a reporter, an enterprising reporter, asked him the about the details of this supposed bullying phone call that Xi subjected the Pakistani leadership to, because the Pakistanis want to sell us their rare earth minerals, which apparently they have a lot of. And basically that ended very quickly because Pakistan got a nasty call from China. Is there any truth to this? And what are we going to do? Because it looks like China has all these relationships that we weren't anticipating where they're able to pull these levers indirectly. What's something that we could do, do you think, to overcome this?
I mean, well, Pakistan in particular is known in China as our iron brother. These guys have been allies for years. I mean, since the 60s, China's been providing Pakistan with missile technology. You saw the India-Pakistan little war there, mini war they had. They were using all Chinese military equipment. Though China controls Pakistan. Pakistan's completely dependent on China for their economy. So, yeah, I mean, Pakistan may or may not have the rare earth. I think obviously the U.S. I think I'm seeing now the U.S. is putting in. The Pentagon's going to try to stockpile. They are putting some money in some companies, but obviously it's something the private sector has not been able to take care of in the last 10 or 15 years. So I think you basically have to do some type of, it's ridiculous. The Pentagon would spend $1 trillion a year, yet have this Achilles heel of rare earth materials.
Right. That's right.
So
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So as we're I agree. So as we're coming to the close of this thing, so what does victory in the trade war look like for the United States, given all the pain we're now being subject? I mean, not just this. I mean, with the poor soybean farmers of America are, again, at least half of their crops have been. We've had other guests on with Emerald talking about this over the last several months. But I mean, it's not just the rare earth minerals and our war machine. It's the farming economy as well as being hit by this trade war. What does victory look like? What could Trump walk away with to say, I won the trade war that I started? Because right now, it's not looking so hot for us.
So America has to reindustrialize. We have to bring back jobs. We have to bring back production, know-how, capability. We have to do that while balancing the current chessboard, which is China is the absolute 800-pound dragon of the global real economy. They make everything. 50% of world manufacturing, that's based on dollars, not units. If you look at units, China has one port that will do 5 to 10 times the number of containers that we do for the whole country, right? They're dominating global manufacturing. We have to reindustrialize while taking a kind of sober viewpoint of the global economy, how it operates, and try to bide our time to reindustrialize but not burn it down before that happens, because it just makes reindustrializing harder. So we need to play, my opinion.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We need to play nice. We need to bide our time, leverage our capabilities, reindustrialize. The tariffs will do that, okay, but they can't be changing all the time. You got to put the tariff in and leave it. Let companies reindustrialize, bring the manufacturing back. There are some green shoots of that happening. The capitalist system in U.S. has been designed around putting capital into financial speculation for the last 30, 40 years. That needs to focus more around reindustrialization. How that actually happens, I don't know. I did see J.P. Morgan today say they're going to put $100 billion into national security type industries for the U.S. But what people don't realize, we are dependent on China for everything. Your syringe, your antibiotics, every chemical. You go buy a car part, it's from China. So you cannot burn everything down before we reindustrialize. So we have to play the chessboard as it lays, not as we want it to be. It would be my point there.
So it's sort of a reverse Deng Xiaoping 24 character strategy. We'll bide our time and hide our capabilities would be the best solution for now. What does it look like for China? What does victory in the trade war look like for China? Just continuing with the relationship as it's been, or is there something more? What does it look like, do you think?
China's economy is not great right now. They have a lot of transition issues from this whole factory to white collar. You have people who the parents were factory workers and the child has a master's degree in electrical engineering or whatever. So they have this whole transition they're going through. The economy's slow. They had a massive house bubble, which is going to hang on the economy for a decade. But guess what? Nobody's doing great right now. China's slow. Europe's in recession. Germany is catapulting off the cliff. They're being deindustrialized as we speak. Oh, and by the way, U.S., our freight shipments are down 25% year over year. Housing market's frozen. Housing looks to be going down. We're in some kind of weird AI bubble. Yeah, so, we're not building the power for this AI. So that may, that may end up killing us. So yeah, nobody's doing well. So we have to kind of if we can end these wars and then just focus the reindustrialization of the U.S. That's the only positive economic cycle that can bring us up. Every new automotive job creates 8 other jobs, and these are decent paying jobs. People can make and afford a living. The average home buyer in the U.S. last year is 56. We don't have a housing market anymore. It's basically boomers trading houses. The young people are off the ladder. They can't get on the ladder. So the only thing that'll fix the U.S. economy is reindustrialization. I think Trump and the admin team there, they know that. The question is, how do we get there without burning the whole system down? We don't need needless confrontation with China over the trade war. But will it probably keep happening? Yeah, it most likely will, at this point.
Well, this has been a very informative discussion, so much so I lost track of time. Thank you so much for coming on, Dan. He is the host of Chaos Incorporated on YouTube. Great podcast. He's also got many years of experience running factories in China. So this is a man who is a doer. He knows his stuff. Thank you so much for joining us.